Good evening, Ramsey Board of Education, Dr. Murphy, and other members of the school community. I'd like to thank Dr. Matteo for inviting me to speak a little this evening about the state of the performing arts in the Ramsey schools. Obviously, COVID-19 has provided education with a number of challenges, but I think in music, sometimes I feel like we have been tasked with trying to climb Mount Everest. The changes that we've had to implement in our programs and the problems we've had to solve get at in many cases, the fundamental nature of many of our programs and courses. Things like we have to think about how do we socially distance our large ensembles in relatively small rooms? How does singing and playing compare to talking? How do we eliminate shared instruments and materials? And what's the effect of these new schedules on our ensembles that function as full groups? We've even had to ask, is it safe to sing and play in school? I'm happy to say the answer to that is yes, and we've been doing it safely for the last 4 months. Luckily, we haven't faced these challenges alone. We've been following the recommendations of a number of large, respected national organizations, which are basing their decisions on rigorous scientific studies about the effect on spread of aerosols during music performance in various classroom settings. We've based all of our decisions on these recommendations and have been very successful so far in implementing them. I also have to say, our staff has been absolutely amazing. Since it was clear we were coming back to school in person this fall, our staff has been meeting almost continuously since June and July to consider these safety precautions and design programs of study that give our students the best experience. I cannot speak more highly than in any way than about what our staff has done this year. They've been absolutely amazing. So what does it look like in classrooms? Well, first, in the general music classes, we have a lot more space, as you can see in these pictures. But this has affected our safety protocols, how these classes run, because they're very movement-oriented and collaborative. So we've done things like implement more individual performance opportunities. Bucket drumming has become very popular this year. Our students have come to class with their own small instrument packets that they've made at home with homemade instruments and some purchased ones. The neat thing about that is they can all use their own materials, but they can also bring the instruments home and continue making music at home, which has been a real benefit. We've also found some technology and some programs that have been really lifesavers in the elementary curriculum, including things like Music Play Online in the K-3 program, and some programs called Note Flight and Sound Trap, which have given a new individualized focus on skill building to the program at Dater. So we're really happy about that. In our chorus and band ensembles, the change is a little more dramatic because, again, these groups, since we're almost a victim of our own problem by having these large ensembles, cannot all meet in person anymore. So we've done things like encourage them to meet outdoors when possible. We're using the largest spaces we can find to work with smaller groups. You'll see a picture here of a Smith School lesson ensemble that's being done no longer in the teacher's small lesson room, but in the large cafeteria. We're using multiple spaces that we've never used before to split rehearsals up over longer periods of time. And we've implemented universal bell covers and masks, special band masks in the band program. And I want to thank Mr. O'Hearn for providing us some funding and being really responsive to our needs and getting that in the hands of our students as fast as possible. The silver lining in these ensembles is we've really taken a more individualized focus to music this year. We can't concentrate on the ensembles as much as we used to, so we're concentrating more on individual growth and chamber groups and teaching kids how to be more independent musicians. And the benefit here is that when we emerge in the pandemic, we will have hopefully taught the skills some individual growth and musicianship skills that will translate and provide them the opportunity to be even more successful in the large groups when we come out of this at the end of the year. There obviously is no all-state or region or county band and chorus, but the state is putting on what's called a solo and ensemble festival, and we're happy that many of our students are going to be participating in that, which is providing them with some great motivation and opportunity to get some recognition. There have been a couple notable things this year that have happened already. First, we had a wonderful fall play at the high school where Mr. Gipple and the theater students performed outside on the big stage in front of the high school. It was very creatively done with costumes and sound design and microphones and the blocking on the stage, and it worked out just really, really well on the front lawn. The marching band also put on what we call a small micro show, and they just adjusted all of their normal competition festival procedures to put on what was like the safest, most socially distant, wonderful evening for 3 local bands here in the fall. And you know what? It wasn't exactly the same as the normal home show would be, but it gave these students a chance to be outside and performing for their parents and for their friends. And every performer and person in attendance at both of these performances was just so thankful to have the opportunity. And we're so proud of the groups and the teachers for putting these things together. So where does that leave us now? Obviously, we have no winter December concerts coming up, but we are putting the final touches on a music department sort of holiday greeting card, which is going to be a short 2-minute video with student performances in it, embedded, and as well as pictures of what's been going on in the department, and we'll be sending that out to the district relatively shortly. Our groups will make some of the virtual ensemble recordings that you saw last spring when they're ready to do it. But this schedule has definitely affected our groups, so it's going to take a little longer than having them all ready now. And we're going to continue to look for creative ways to schedule performances this spring, hopefully as there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but we will continue to be creative and adaptable as we approach that time. So thank you for your time. I'd like to wish everyone a happy holiday season. Stay well and be safe.